Hello from the Arctic tundra here at Film Fanatic headquarters, but I'm inside my car. I'm actually digging out here. We had a pretty major storm and it's snowing again, so I got to dig myself out here. I got to run to the store. I got an early start this morning and I snow blowed my driveway out, the main part, but I still got to get the rest. My car. I'm gonna run to the store. I figured I'd make a little video, and there's always things to talk about. I gotta dig myself out here, which will take a little bit. Gotta heat up the car. Hope everyone's doing good and enjoying the snow. It is, we got about 12 inches of snow tonight, or I should say last night. We got about 12 inches last night, and it stopped for a while around noon, 12:30, and it's pretty calm for a while, and then it starts snowing again. So I don't know, I think we're going to have more than a foot. So pretty wild and crazy. So I'm going to do some digging here, the last bits of it, and I'll see you shortly. Hello again, made it back. Let's see if you can, might be hard to see with the white out here. See if you can see the snowy conditions out here. Pretty intense, and it's snowing quite a bit. I thought it was going to let up for a while, and it did, but then it's coming out again. Some places in New England, and I think in upstate New York, my hometown, where I grew up in Rockland County, New York, they got 24 inches of snow, and I think it's still snowing there, so pretty intense. See if I can get out of here, make it in one piece. We're relatively close to that. Yeah, so I obviously had a snow day from work today for obvious reasons, and it's funny because my boss, where I work at the Montessori school, and typically my boss will wait till the very last minute to decide to call the day or not if we're going to get a snow day. But this time she sent an email on Sunday that we're done with, we're no school Monday, so everybody can sleep in and get their beauty sleep. So that was a first, but it's nice to actually have some snow. Definitely. Got out of that part. Wow, it's really coming down. Holy shit. Shut. So sometimes what I do, which is kind of stupid, but I have a little side road here at my house. I live really close to the ocean, which is pretty sweet. I live about 3 to 5 minutes from the ocean. And I have this little side road right on the back area of my house. And sometimes, during the winter time, especially if we get a big snowstorm, I'll, of course, dust my car off, get it clean, dig out of the driveway. And I have a snowblower, which makes life pretty easy. But generally what I'll do is if there's a lot of snow, I'll drive on the side area of the road and then get back to this back road, and then I'll gun my car, and then all the snow will come off. That way I don't have to stand out all day taking all the snow off. It's pretty lazy because you can get a ticket for having too much snow in your car and blowing shit everywhere. I've done that before, and it's not a lot of fun. So I try not to be that guy, even though I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to that. And I'll probably do that now here. But pretty snowy day, pretty nice. It's definitely been. I kind of got spoiled with some really warm temperatures lately, and I went out to some music shows over the weekend, and I know Saturday I went out and it was really great. I went to see this band from Portland called Scobie. That's just a phenomenal band, and I got a chance to see them. But it was one of the coldest nights that we've had, and I think it kept a lot of folks from home from going out. But I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to try to go anyway. So I did, and it was awesome. It was totally worth it. Totally awesome. And not a lot of people, but this band from Portland, Scobie, I've seen them play probably like 6 or 7 times, and they're amazing. They really are. They just get better and better and better. They're a power trio from Portland, and they're it's so funny because I talked with them after their show, and I think it was the best time that I had ever seen them. They were just on fire, and they had this really cool thing about their performance where they were, there wasn't a whole lot of people there, but the people that were there were really into their music. And, they had a great sound going, a great mix, and it's, Hey Sailor's a beautiful venue, and so they felt, it felt like it was like a private concert, like they were playing at home. And I think it was the best I'd ever heard them, because they were really loose, and they were like playing tunes that they had never played out before, and it was really, really cool. This past year, in 2025, my band Quantum, we played at the All Roads Festival, which we've been fortunate to play at quite a few, like 3 times. And we played a little bit before them, and it was great. They were the headlining band at the end of the night, and it was super cool. And it was funny because after their performance, I got to chat with them for a little bit and talk with them. And I had said to them, I've had these conversations about you guys with a few friends and some people I know, and I try to describe the sound that you guys have, and I described it as like, it was cool. They got done playing. They were the only band, and I went up to them, and they were super cool guys. I met with them or talked with them before, and the roads are shitty. The roads are really bad. So I talked with them, and I said, yeah, like there's been times where I've described the sound that you guys have to people, and I said, yeah, and I told them, like, I totally mean this in like the highest regards, like super big compliments, because I love these bands, and it really reminds me of that. And I said, the way I think of you guys, like the way I described the sound that you guys have to somebody I know, a friend, I said, you guys really remind me of a combination of Nirvana, early Metallica, and also Lil Wayne. And if you take all 3 of those bands and you throw it in a blender, you get Scobie. And they were like, wow, okay, that's awesome. I'm on board with that. And it was really funny, and they were really gracious, and they were like young guys, like kids, and super talented, super cool guys. And they were like, yeah, we support that. That's a good thing. They were totally into it, and it was super funny. So yeah, and they debuted, again, they played a bunch of new material, which was great. And they also, we're talking about how they're going to, doing some recording soon. And it was awesome. It was definitely at least my 6th time seeing them play. I've seen them play a lot. They had I think it was last year, they had a lineup change. They used to be a different bass player in the band. When I first saw them, I saw them play once or twice, and they had a different bass player in the band at the time, and they were really good then. But then when I saw them, they got this new a girl who plays bass in their band, and it was like next level. Like, she is super in the pocket, super grooving the whole time, and it was pretty inspiring. It was very cool, and their whole sound was totally elevated. I mean, it really, really was. And so, that sometimes it's what it takes. You have this stew or pot, of deliciousness that's already good, and it's simmering and it's tasty. And then sometimes you just need that extra ingredient to make it put it at a, gourmet level. And I feel like that's what happened. It was just that she just adds this next level to their sound and to their whole thing, that it was exactly what they needed. So it's it's pretty cool, pretty inspiring. And the other thing too is they play all original music. They play 2 hours on Saturday of just playing all original music. So very, very cool. Speaking of music, we have a couple of shows coming up this week with Osmia. We played a lot of gigs last year with Osmia. I played a lot of gigs with Osmia, and it was really great, super fun. And we also finished up. We started recording an album last year around, I think we started it in October or September, late September, early October last year. And then we took a break, and then we got back at it in November, close to Thanksgiving. And we finished all the main tracks right at that time. And then we took a bunch of time off from gigs and things for a while, and those guys have been, Eric and also Leo, been working on putting together the record and doing some overdubs, some guitars and some vocal stuff, and they kind of been mixing and experimenting with the tracks, and they've been sending tracks as they are kind of getting developed our way, or Eric has, because Eric is the rhythm guitar player / bass player in the band, and he did all the recording, and it was really cool. We did all the recording at my house, and it was really loose and relaxed, and I kind of lost track of what we recorded and what we didn't, because it felt real loose. And it was funny, the last time we were in there, I thought, okay, we just got to record some more material, then we'll be back at it. We'll probably knock it out, finish it all out, that month or that following month. And then we were done. We finished that day, and we finished recording. And I was like, okay, cool, we got some tracks done. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll shoot for next week. And, in the next few weeks, might be close to finishing the album. And then when we were done, they said, well, no, that was it. That was the last track or tracks. And I was like, what? I totally spaced on how much time it was. And we actually had finished all the main recording parts that night. And then we also had a lot of gigs last year. And so we took, good, we had a gig around Christmas, I think. We definitely had a gig a couple of gigs in November and Halloween. And then we took a chunk of time off, and so this is our first 2 gigs coming up in a while. And excited to get back at it, and we got a tour coming up in April, or March, I should say. And we'll be doing that. And then we got some other shows coming up. So, and then, with the status with the record, because it's probably going to be, I think there's going to be about 8 tracks on the whole album. We'll, that I imagine will be done probably around, springtime, late spring or summer, probably at the latest. So we'll see. We were going to originally put a deadline for the record, try to get it done for the tour, but then we were like, well, that might be kind of close or rushing things, so they decided not to do that and just basically take our time. So which I think is better, because you want to get, recording is tough and it's a lot of work and there's a lot of variables with it, and especially the timing of when to release things. So it takes some time, and rather not have that pressure of a deadline, I guess, at this point. So, all right. Yeah, the roads are not that bad. Roads are actually fine. I wouldn't be driving to Portland or anything in this, but roads are fine, and it's somebody I know that lives in Belfast, which is really close to here. I'm about 5 minutes from Belfast right now, and somebody I know that lives in Belfast said they went out today, and they said it was just a nightmare driving. But that must have been earlier in the day, because today right now it's about almost 4:30 on a Monday, and it's actually pretty chill. The roads, they're covered, but it's not icy, it's not wet, so real light, at least. That's what she said, or that's what he said. So it's it's doable. I had a snow day today, so I just kind of been chilling, and I'm gonna watch a movie, of course. Surprise, later tonight I'm gonna probably watch another film on my fantastic new discovery, the Film Crypt. It's such an awesome YouTube channel, so many fantastic movies. So I'll do that later. And I did some video stuff for the channel this morning. Spent a good chunk of time doing some snow removal shit. But I have a snowblower, so it's not that bad. It's really easy, and the snow's real light. But it still takes some time, because there was about a foot. So I've been doing that, just kind of chilling out and getting some practice again, working on some music stuff. Lately I've been working on music stuff-wise, music-wise, it's been cool. I've been writing a lot of new Quantum tunes the last few months. That's been a lot of fun. And, I've been tweaking them, tweaking the ideas that I have, and then trying to put together these ideas and trying to make them, resemble something like a song, and so I've been working on a handful of new tunes, and that's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. And I typically, usually, what I do when it comes to my band Quantum, when we don't have gigs, or there's a long period of time, maybe there's a lot of space in between gigs, I'll typically just, rehearse the material and work on material, and then try to write stuff, when it comes up. And if I have ideas for tunes, if I don't have a gig or gigs coming up with the band, I will usually, try to spend most of that time working on those tunes. So, which is a lot of fun. And then usually when I have a gig coming up, usually 2 weeks, and usually definitely the week before the gig, I kind of take that stuff and put it a little bit on the side or on the back burner, and then I'll just work on building sets, working on the sets of what we're going to do at the show. And I don't ever have set lists. It's kind of funny. In most bands that I've played in, we usually, will go in with a set list, and try to, like say there's 7 tunes or 14 songs, and we'll play them in order. We've rehearsed them or whatnot, which is like traditionally what most bands do. And with what we do with Quantum, like it's I don't know. I've tried doing that, and I always feel like it's like sucks or backfires, or it's like hard for us to adjust to like the vibe of what's going on in the room or the space. Because I find that like every gig is really different. The energy is different. There's sometimes there's folks that have I don't know if you want to call it that, but sometimes there's like fans or friends that like your music and they come and show up and support it, which is always awesome. And then sometimes there's people that are, it's a whole different crowd. And sometimes it's more of a laid back vibe, like maybe people are just kind of chilling out or eating dinner. And then sometimes maybe it's a crowd where people are partying pretty hard. And then sometimes you'll have a show where there won't be very many people there at all, or there'll be a show where you'll have a good crowd show up. So it's always different. So I like to try to, curate the set or play to that vibe. And it really determines, I think it's a lot of the times, I've always felt like when a band comes in to play, they put that energy out. They admit that energy, and that's who kind of sets the standard or the vibe of the night, which I still think is true. But I kind of feel like, at least for me, for what it is, it goes a little bit beyond that, because I feel like it's not just the band, it's not just those people on stage, it's the whole vibe, of like how that space is. what the vibe that you're getting from people, and whether they're maybe they're just finishing up dinner and they're you want to maybe they're not ready to have a dance party at 7 o'clock in the evening. So it's like building things up. I always think of that, and that's really for me is the for what it's worth, for me is like a big time. That's like an example of like the big movie influence for me, because I tend to love films that have I like to think I like good films, but I tend to like films a lot, or love films that have a slower pace, like a slow burn, where you're slowly kind of getting pulled into the story, without necessarily getting a lot of information. Like I really believe in less is more. So movies like that I love, and narratives and stories that have this slow burn of like where they're slowly pulling you in. I tend to like that kind of world more. So I use that directly, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it goes over like a fart in church, and then sometimes I think it does work. But I use that way of thinking of the music as like telling a narrative and introducing characters for how I do the sets with Quantum and how we perform. It's all the vibe of that, and that slow pace. And so a lot of the times, we will open up with some of the more mellow stuff, and then there's times too where we'll be playing, we've had experiences where we've played gigs where, it's a party and people want to dance, and you want to like, people want to get their rocks off. So you kind of like, you can't really, you kind of have to go into it. You could still have that mix. You could still mix things up, but it's sometimes you got to focus on keeping the energy going. So, and coming in a little bit harder. So it's always a fun, I always look at it as like a big puzzle piece too. So anyway, I will, just pulled in, made it home safely here. Just wanted to do a short little video on my adventures on the grocery store, to the grocery store on a blizzardy day. And I'll definitely be watching some movies tonight, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to eat some, I watched like 3 movies. It started snowing early in the day yesterday, so I was home after doing a bunch of shit during the day and watched 3 movies, and it was amazing. And I got some really good Chinese food left over. I ate some good Chinese food last night, and I got it left over for tonight. So really excited about just chilling. I'm gonna get some more practicing in, eat some Chinese food, and later on tonight watch some movies. I typically watch movies on the later. Well, typically for me it's like 8:39, 9:15. I don't usually start a movie too early, unless it's like a long day and I've been gone all day. I won't tend to go into the practice space if I get home at like 6 o'clock. I'll usually chill out. But anyway, I will. A lot of the videos and a lot of the shows I've been doing have been, all on this amazing page, the Film Crypt, which I can't recommend enough. It's just awesome. I've kind of been obsessed with it. It's my favorite YouTube channel, and every movie that I've been watching has just been spectacular. So, yeah. So stay tuned. There's more videos coming your way from that channel. Just a lot of fun, and enjoy the snow if you're in New England or. Well, the snow is apparently everywhere in the country, even down south. So everybody's getting some part of it. It's a massive fucking storm. So yeah, have fun and be safe. Peace.